What's up, gang? All right, the gate tonight was 10,752,296. It's the highest gate for an indoor arena in the history of the continent. Attendance was 18,168. Total sellout. Bonuses of the night. Fight of the night went to Cap and Dos Santos. Performance of the night went to Tafa and Strickland. And one thing that I really want to point out, and somebody that I really want to thank, is the Premier, who got us back down here, and it's good to be back in Sydney. Thanks to him for all his hard work and love of the sport. How fucking crazy is this game? How crazy is this game?
It's one of those ones where you just sit here for like the next week going, what the fuck happened there, you know?
23 years when I'm looking at the internet and reading all the bullshit and all these people that think they know about fighting, and I'm not fucking sitting here acting like this is what I thought was gonna happen here tonight. But what do I always say? Never judge a fight until it happens. You never know what the hell is gonna happen in this batshit nutty sport.
Would you say this is one of the biggest upsets in the history of
Yeah,
sport?
I mean, if you think about Australia, the two biggest upsets ever in the men's and women's division has happened in Australia.
What did you think of, we'll start with Israel, right? What did you think of his performance? I think some people are saying he looked very flat early on. He looked like he sort of didn't deal with the pressure Sean was giving him very well. What did you think of Israel?
Israel looked like he was in slow motion. He looked like he couldn't get off. He looked like he was really stiff tonight. He looked very slow.
Do you think that could be, you know, we always talk about his activity, but maybe there's something to be said that he might be overtrained at this point and maybe needs some time off? Or do you think it's just, hey, sometimes you have a bad night?
Only Israel knows what's going on. I'm very curious to see what he says at this press conference tonight. You know, there are a million things that could go wrong. Some days you wake up and it's just not there, man. You just don't, it's not there. He looked bone dry when he came out tonight, standing up really tall, looked very slow, looked like he couldn't get off at all. Even in the fifth round, when everybody knew he needed a knockout to win the fight, there was no sense of urgency to try to finish the fight. So I don't know if he's hurt, if he's, or he just, you know, tonight's that night.
Yeah. Did you speak to him in the cage at all?
What's that?
Did you speak?
Yeah. I said, you okay? He said, I'll talk to you later.
Okay. Then go to Sean Strickland. You know, he did what he's had to do, right? He came here, 100%. He beat the champion, 4 rounds to 1.
Came into hostile territory, the whole world talking shit about him, the whole world saying he couldn't do it, a 7-1 underdog, came in, almost finished him in the first round, and won the championship, won the world title, man. So everything that we're talking about right now about how crazy this sport is, when opportunities arise, you jump on them and you take them. And, you know, you should never turn down fights when you get the call, especially if it's for a world title.
Yeah. Sean's an interesting character, right, to have as champion.
Yeah, you think?
Yeah. You know, just
I'm sure it's going to get crazy in here in a little while.
Yeah. Just, you know, just this week we had the thing with the fan, and I know that he was kind of exaggerating as he does, but do you need to say, like, look, if you're going to be our promotions champion, can you cut some of that out? Or do you just think, well, let's just see what happens?
You know the answer to this question. Listen, we put this guy in the spot. And, you know, there was no, holy shit, we didn't know this was going to happen going into this, you know. Who the hell knows what's going to happen in here in 15, 20, 30 minutes whenever he gets in here. So it is what it is. This is the fight business, boys and girls.
Yeah.
And he is one of the nuttiest in the sport.
Yeah. Outside of that, the Manel Cap fight against a newcomer who looks amazing too, in Dos Santos. You know, you gave it fight of the night, but what did you think of that great flyweight matchup?
Yeah, fight of the night, and you know, wow, how durable and tough that kid is. I love kids. Again, a kid that got an opportunity, and he came in. He didn't come here to just show up and get paid. He came here to win tonight. I think that kid has a really bright future.
I know what the answer is usually to this, but Manel's post-fight speech used a homophobic word.
Yeah, I was flying around a little bit tonight. I think these guys get, you know, get a little excited, and you know, you make bad mistakes. Radke did the same thing, you know, and you know me. We didn't run over to him and say, you better apologize and you better, he did that on his own. You know, when he got back stage, he was embarrassed and, you know, got caught up in the moment. And did you guys talk to him tonight? No,
not
so he
yet.
felt like he was treated like shit and, all that stuff. And, got emotional and whatever reason. We make mistakes. I am not holier than thou either. So we've all been in positions where we've made mistakes. And like I always say, it's how you recover from it and how you carry yourself after you make the mistake. And he came out and apologized on his own free will. We didn't tell him to do anything. And the fact that he did that means he means it. I don't make anybody apologize for anything. You do what you want. You're grown men and women. You're able to say whatever you want. He did it. He came back. He was embarrassed, and he apologized. So I'm sure some people will accept his apology and some people won't.
Last one for me, just going back to the madness of the main event. Traditionally we see dominant champions get an immediate rematch, right? But Israel just had one of those with the Pereira fights. So do you I know this is a Tuesday question, but do you sort of think, well, let's just book it again because Israel looks so off? Or do you just sort of see how the division plays out and leave Israel on the side for a moment?
No, I think you do the rematch, absolutely. The rematch is interesting. That could be the thing, too. When you think about you're going into the Pereira fight, such a big fight, and you've been in there with this guy so many times, and then you overlook Strickland, and you come in and I don't know. I don't know the answers to these questions, but Israel does, and I'm looking forward to hearing it.
Okay, thank you.
Dan, is there any medical update on Jack Jenkins? He's one that his arm snapped in half in there.
Oh, yeah, I know. I think I don't have any updates here medically, but I think his elbow got dislocated. It just says right elbow here, but it doesn't say. I think it was just a dislocation.
And I'm just curious, how do you come up with a list for bonuses tonight? Because obviously Volkov became the third fighter ever to get a Ezekiel choke. Tyson Pedro had a big performance to kick off this main card. So how do you narrow down just 2-3 names on a
Pedro deserves something too. There's guys that these guys we felt won the 50,000. And other guys that did really well tonight will get kicked some money too.
And so this is just kind of going off. This is just me being curious. Have you ever thought of just doing a stoppage bonus rather than a performance bonus, like a finish bonus for just anyone who gets a finish, rather than selecting 2 or 3?
Nah, this kind of works.
And last one for me. You guys announced the UFC game. Fedor's in it. Did you have to fly to an island to get his permission to stick with the kid?
We did not. No. Yeah, he's in the game.
How'd you pull that one off?
I don't know. I guess he wants to be in the game. We paid him an obscene amount of money. I don't know, one or the other.
Hey, Dana, just a quick one on Sydney. It was pretty remarkable to see CKB with 6 fights on one card. What's your reaction to sort of what the gym's been able to do in the region and just the card overall?
Yeah, it's incredible. It's incredible what that team has done. And, if you saw some of the footage leading up to the fight, how many people are in that gym training at one time, and they treat Izzy just like they treat everybody else, and Volk, and it's impressive. It's impressive what they built here.
For a rematch like Strickland and Adesanya, if that does happen, do you do this in this region yet again because of the fan base, because of the support, potentially maybe even New Zealand, or is that something that you think happens overseas now?
I don't even know. When you start looking at the rest of the year and laying out the card, and then getting in, we're already into March of next year. So, as far as fights go, I don't know. I don't know how that'll play out, but it depends on how fast these guys want us to come back here.
Thank you.
Yep.
Dana, you mentioned fights booked up to March. Is UFC 300 going to be in April? Is that what it's looking like?
I don't know off the top of my head.
Yeah, have you started thinking about that one at all?
Not at all.
Because we had Volkanovski back here. He said if him and Islam both win their next fights, he would love to headline. Izzy said earlier in the week he wants to be on that card. People haven't started coming to you yet?
There's a lot of stuff that's going to happen between now and then.
Yeah. Laura Sanko joined the commentary booth for her pay-per-view debut tonight. Did you get to listen to much, and what did you think?
Yeah. The commentary team tonight was awesome. They killed it. Yeah.
Do you think she'll get more opportunities on pay-per-views going forward?
Sure. Yeah, she's a rock star, man. She's very good at what she does.
Yeah, and earlier this week, Tyson Fury and Francis Ngannou did a press conference ahead of their fight, and Tyson was saying after this one, he wants to revisit the John Jones fight, potentially, that you guys were working on. Is that something that would appeal to you at all, depending on how that goes?
I don't know. We'll see how it plays out.
What do you think of Francis, that he was able to get that fight? We haven't heard you really speak on that.
No, good for him.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Dana, just over here.
Yep.
The last time the UFC came back to Brisbane was 2016, and I know you have the deal with Sydney for the next couple of years, but does the UFC have any plans to come back to Brisbane at all?
Plans to go back to where?
Brisbane.
Where? Brisbane? Yeah. Yes. Listen, we're gonna go everywhere. Now that hopefully the world is back and heading in the right direction again. Hope that stays that way. And yeah, we're going to be traveling everywhere again. There's still so many places that we haven't been since COVID, the beginning of COVID. So still a lot of traveling to do.
And just another one, Tom Nolan is just up the road from me, so I thought I'd ask a question of do you have any timeline of when we can see him debut? Tom Nolan, the Dana White's Contender Series.
What about him?
If you have any timeline of when he'll be debuting.
No.
And then just lastly, the eternal featherweight champion Justin Van Heerden made weight on Saturday as a backup. I'm just curious if you happen to know him at all, and if so, what are your thoughts?
Did who make weight? Ken? No.
Hey Dana, just over here. I was wondering, did this card surpass your expectations? Because we had a ton of finishes, a ton of great fights, and then obviously, an absolutely amazing title fight in the middleweight division. How did this card match up to your expectations?
No. This card absolutely met my expectations. Obviously, I expected a completely different, main event. Whether Izzy won or Strickland won, I expected. I didn't. Nobody saw that coming. That Izzy would come in flat and slow, and whatever's going on with him. I don't think anybody expected to see that. But no, the card lived up to my expectations.
And speaking on Tai Tuivasa, obviously a tough loss tonight, but I think Tai really falls into that category of fan favorite fighters whose stock never drops too much with a loss. Do you kind of see Tai fitting into that category as well as a fan favorite fighter that we're always going to tune in to see? Yeah,
and to be honest with you, when you talk about exceeding expectations, that fight did. I mean, when you look at the monster he's fighting, the reach advantage, the power that guy has, the size difference, everything. Tai fought a hell of a fight tonight.
And last one from me, Gabriel Miranda had a very, very dominant submission victory over Shane Young tonight. I was just wondering where you sort of see the ceiling for him and what's next for Shane Young.
Listen, when you get these opportunities to come in and take these fights, and it's like when we talk about the Contender Series on Tuesday nights. When you get these opportunities to come in and you shine like you did in the big show, yeah, it's a big deal. It's a very, very good thing.
Hey, Dana.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of questions this week to the fighters about if they'd be interested in fighting on an Auckland card. And Dan Hooker admitted this week that the rumours were made up by him. Are there any truth to the rumours? Are you potentially coming back to Auckland in the next 6 months?
Well, I don't know. We'll see. I mean, I was just at a press conference on Tuesday, and they were talking about, we heard you're doing a fight in Minnesota, and all. Nothing is done until we announce it. There's lots of, when we get together on Tuesdays for matchmaking, we kick a lot of ideas around, possible matchups, possible places, but until we announce it, it's never true.
Dana, the other day, Sean Strickland during the open workouts brought a fan on stage and had a bit of a boxing sparring session with that fan. What goes through your mind when a situation like that happens? And we noticed that fan was sitting with the fighters next to Justin Gaethje tonight, funny enough. So just wondering what your thoughts around that.
I don't know what I think of that. He's definitely different. He's very different, and I don't know. He's a different guy. You got me on that one. I don't even know how to answer that question. Yeah. You guys good? Yes, sir.
Dan Hooker said at Q&A on Friday night that Volkanovski's next fight was planned to be around February next year. Can you confirm that?
Not till we confirm it.
Fair enough.
All
and just final question. Do you see Alex Pereira potentially finding his way back into this middleweight title picture if he doesn't succeed at light heavyweight?
I don't think so. I think he'll stay at light heavyweight, it'll be, I don't know. But I don't think so. I don't see him cutting back down again. It's a lot of weight to cut. The guy's a monster.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great night, you guys. Thank you.